Hello, my friend. I'm so excited to dive into this week's podcast episode for you on this week's astrology. Oh my goodness, this is going to be quite a juicy week. We have a new moon in Scorpio happening this week. In this week's episode, I'll be diving deep into the transits of this week for you. I will also be sharing a story on how I gained my first 10K on TikTok and how this completely changed my life in terms of how I thought about my business. I will then end off this podcast episode with a tarot reading of what energy to embrace, what energy to let go of. So let's just dive right into it. Now, if you missed last week's episode on the new moon in Scorpio, I dive really deep into the new moon in Scorpio chart for you. So go watch that episode first because this new moon in Scorpio will affect you this week. You're also going to feel the effects of it for 6 months afterwards in terms of setting intentions. So definitely go watch that first. Starting off with November 17th, we have Mercury in Sagittarius, retrograde sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. This is really interesting. This feels as though you could be having some really intense conversations with a community or friendship group this day. This looks like maybe a topic that you've discussed before. I really see this energy as having some secrets revealed in some cases, yet I also see this as maybe just getting more in touch with your emotions or understanding what freedom means to you, especially when it comes to how it might differ from your friendship group or even a community that you're a part of. This also looks like maybe perhaps you are trying to connect with a community-led group that really centers around freedom or self-expression or just trying to stand up for what you believe in. On November 18th, we have Venus in Scorpio trine the North Node in Pisces. This looks very lovely. This looks like a day that you can be really in touch with your values and how this kind of corresponds to where you're heading right now in terms of your life path. So perhaps you are really valuing your sense of education and what you're learning, and this date can just show you how in flow you can feel based on this. With Venus in Scorpio, this could also look like you getting more in touch with what are things that you're interested in that are more taboo. So for example, things that are similar to tarot or astrology, or really digging deeper into what makes you different based on how you were raised, what healing modalities do you want to explore more of, what do you want to participate more of. These are really amazing in terms of getting in touch with, okay, can I align myself to a spiritual partnership or an emotional partnership, such as a therapist, an astrologer, a tarot reader, a somatic healer, someone that helps you dig a bit deeper underneath the surface, that really helps you regulate your emotions, that really helps you in terms of processing what you've been through so that you can feel more safe, so that you can fully express yourself, which is very, very important to consider. So you're feeling more attuned to this, or you could feel a pull towards this. Then on November 19th, we have Mercury retrograding back into the sign of Scorpio. And this is very important to consider because this changes the vibe completely. If you haven't watched your VIP horoscopes on this Mercury retrograde, I'll leave a link to those if you want to dive deep into what this means for your rising sign, your sun sign, your moon sign, your stellium, because I go really in depth on this. Now, this really changes the vibe completely with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius was a lot more blunt, a lot more messy. I will say you could have gotten into some confrontations with people. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio is going to ask you to be really reflective of what you're still healing from the past. How can you honor your ancestors? What things do you want to explore more in depth? What is hidden beneath the surface? And I will say this can be a time when secrets are revealed to you, especially this week. This is a very shocking week. I want to give you a heads up. You can hear some really unexpected news this week based on the transits. I'll get into those. However, with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, secrets from the past could be coming out. You could just feel as though you're learning new information about the past that completely changes your perspective on a situation. This is huge. This is huge. Now, with this perspective, this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio that is currently taking place will take you back to October 28th, 2025. So any situation that occurred for you around that time is going to be brought up again. Take note of this. Go check your calendar. This was just a few weeks ago. And this is going to give you a new perspective on that situation. Now, on the same day, the reason why you can get some very shocking information is because Mercury in Scorpio will be opposing Uranus in Taurus. This looks like someone is sharing some very important information that completely changes your perspective on a situation. This is very unexpected. This could feel out of the blue. This looks like someone is exposing something that maybe was hidden from you. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't want you to worry about this because I really see this as you gaining more clarity on a situation, and it can be difficult to digest this information. However, I also see this energy as you getting a breakthrough around a situation that will help you feel more safe and secure later on. So maybe you don't feel that way at this moment. However, the breakthrough you receive from this information can really, really help you gain a new perspective on how you are approaching your conversations, how you're approaching your values, how you are approaching taking action around what you care about, and also how this kind of relates to your finances, your self-worth, your self-value, especially with Uranus and Taurus. Because this transit is on the Scorpio-Taurus axis, this feels as though there's something that you're trying to uncover as to why you're not receiving something in the material world. Perhaps you're learning about a past situation that really gives you a new opportunity to view it in a different way. And that also helps you respond differently in terms of what you're trying to call into your life. So for example, this could look like, okay, why hasn't my romantic partner shown up for me? You could receive some news this day that kind of reminds you of a past situation and what you're still healing from, and what kind of partner do you need to choose for yourself that would actually be better for you, and what role did you play in terms of that. On the same day, on November 19th, we have Mercury in Scorpio in a trine to Neptune in Pisces. This looks very magical. This looks very artistic, very spiritual. So even though you're getting some very shocking information, there's something here that allows you to see why it's such a good opportunity for you from the universe. You're starting to see a bigger perspective on why this is occurring for you. I really love this. This actually looks like you're having some very empathetic, compassionate conversations, but also how you can really understand the lessons that the universe is trying to teach you. This also looks very, very healing. I will say that. However, with Neptune involved, this can still feel a little bit confusing. You could still misunderstand someone, so keep this in mind, especially because Mercury is still retrograde. Now on November 20th, we have the new moon in Scorpio. Go check out my previous video on the new moon in Scorpio if you want to dive deeper into that, because I go through the chart very in depth. Yet this new moon is a brand new beginning for you when it comes to your shared resources, your investments, your loans, what you're still healing from the past. What topics do you want to really dive into that are a bit more taboo, but also your relationship to your subconscious mind. What are you hiding from yourself? What is not in your perspective at the moment that you need to see in a different way? I say this because Scorpio really represents these themes. It's such a beautiful new moon to do shadow work with, and also to manifest what you want to call into your life for the next 6 months. If you want help with that in any way and you want to really understand how this new moon is affecting your chart specifically, I'll be hosting a new moon in Scorpio event with the Moonsign Creative Community. Replays are available if you can't make it live. This is happening on November 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what I really, really love about the new moon events with the Moonsign Creative Community is we're setting intentions for the next 6 months. Energy is amplified in community. So the more you're setting that intention to call in what you want to manifest into your life, may this be more money, may this be more love, may this be more opportunities, may this be a new home, may this be more friendships, whatever that is for you, this is a powerful new moon to manifest with. I'll leave a link if you want to apply to join the community down below, and I can't wait to see you there. Now, on the same day as the new moon in Scorpio, we have a Mercury cazimi in the sky, and this is very interesting. A Mercury cazimi is when Mercury, the planet, lines up with the sun, and this is going to give you some clarity on a past situation. This is because Mercury is currently retrograde. So there's something here where you're getting an epiphany about something in regards to your healing journey, your healing process. What are you trying to let go of? There's something here where you could feel like there's an intense aspect of letting go of control. How can you just surrender? How can you gain more clarity around a past situation, something that affected your subconscious mind that's impacting you to move forward? Mercury retrogrades are such amazing times for rest, revision, and reflection. And yes, there can be delays. It can be harder to put yourself out there, to launch something new, to get started with something that's very different. Yet, there's such a good opportunity with this Mercury cazimi to really see and witness, okay, this is what I need to change in my life. This is what I really need to focus on. This is what I really need to uncover to see what limiting belief is still holding you back from achieving your goals, achieving your dreams, or just living in a more peaceful way. Now, on November 21st, we have the sun in Scorpio opposing Uranus and Taurus. Okay, this is a very shocking week. I want to give you a heads up. This is a very shocking week. You could be thrown through a loop this day. It could just feel as though you receive some really shocking news, not only earlier this week, but this day, there's something here that really changes how you approach a situation. You could potentially get an obstacle this day, and you have to try to figure out how to overcome this. This feels very disruptive. So I want to give you a heads up. There's still some very supportive energy this week. I do want to say that. However, this information this week just feels as though it's very chaotic. It feels as though you can expect the unexpected. A lot of secrets are being revealed to you, and you're trying to just navigate this in a way that feels more grounding. With this axis being in the Scorpio-Taurus axis, I do see this relating to your finances in some way. Perhaps you get an unexpected expense this day. Perhaps you get an unexpected surprise of trying to figure out how to allocate your funds in a different way. Perhaps you get an unexpected plumbing situation this day that you have to fix in your home. This could look like just something happening in your material world that you have to tend to right away. Now, on the same day, we have the sun in Scorpio in a trine to Neptune in Pisces. This is actually really supportive for us. So even though you can get this very shocking situation that occurs for you on the 21st, you have some very lovely support that's more spiritual, that feels very empathetic, that feels very compassionate. You could feel like you're meeting with a friend that you can just talk to about the situation, or you could just feel as though you're being supported even though these unexpected things keep coming up for you. This is actually a really lovely day to go to a therapy appointment, to have a birth chart reading, to have a tarot reading, to do something that allows you to move your body to help you process your emotions, such as a yoga class, for example. Keep this in mind. This is really just showing you, yes, a situation can feel confusing, but you can still have this optimism that you can handle what is coming up for you, that you can emotionally process what is coming up for you, and you have some really good emotional support. Then on November 22nd, we have Sagittarius season beginning. With the sun in Sagittarius, this changes the vibe completely. Sagittarius season really invites us to seek more freedom, to seek more knowledge, to seek more growth. Sagittarius season is very passionate and driven but also just more fun and playful. Scorpio season could have made us more moody and introspective, whereas Sagittarius season wants you to put yourself out there and have more fun. Start to play, start to be more adventurous, start to seek more opportunities of what is possible for you. This is the time to dream bigger. I always see Sagittarius season as a great opportunity to start to dream bigger as to what you want to call into your life in 2026. It's such a great season to put yourself out there, to know that there's not much time left for this year. Yes, the astrological calendar doesn't begin until March 2026 during Aries season, but this is such a great time to really challenge yourself, to do something different, and to just be more playful in terms of this. Now, on November 23rd, we have the Sun in Sagittarius in a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. This feels as though you're connecting with a community or a friendship group, and you're feeling like it's a lot more fun, more playful. You could go to a party this day. You could feel like you want to go to a protest this day and really voice your perspective, your concerns, how you can ask for more freedom. How can you demand this? How can you stand up for the people in your community, but also all over the world? There's this subtle transformation this day where you could feel as you're just getting more hyped up around the people you're around, or you could just feel more invigorated by the energy of the collective and how you can just use this energy to progress towards your goals, but also the collective goals as well. This is also honestly a great day to learn something new, to try something different, maybe take a class or finish up a course. This looks very, very lovely for that. So those are our transits for this week. Again, if you haven't watched the new moon in Scorpio video from last week, go watch that because you're going to feel that energy all week. Now, in this week's episode, I want to talk about my first 10K on TikTok and what I learned through this process of getting to that point. What I had to really understand when it came to how I directed myself in my business to reach that point, because again, I had a lot of fear when it came to social media at this time. This was about 3 years ago for me. So I was at a point in my business where I had just launched my astrology practice and I transitioned from a freelance graphic designer into a freelance brand strategist, into a professor, and then into an astrologer. So I had all of this experience and I was making these huge, huge pivots in my career. When it comes to this, when you have a huge career change, this can feel very uncomfortable. I will say that there can be a bit of imposter syndrome that comes up for you. There can be this uncomfortableness of, can I make it in this new field? What do I have to learn? So for myself, I was still battling this fear of being seen. I was still in this uncomfortable position where I had astrology mentors that were really helping me. I had amazing, amazing help when it came to coaches as well, but I still didn't feel this sense of safety when it came to expressing myself. And I also could see that I was holding myself back, but I just didn't understand how. So at this time, when I was making this transition, I will say I was hitting a really rough patch when it came to my finances, and I was debating on taking on a different job just so that I can focus more on building my astrology practice and just having that financial support, which I honestly do recommend for quite a few people. It really depends on your birth chart. However, I remember just applying to different jobs and feeling as though I was disappointed. I didn't want to actually get a different job because I was working for myself for years. We were still in the pandemic. Yes, we had the vaccine at that time, I believe, but we were still in this hazy process. And for myself, I just wanted more financial support. I was trying to figure out what to do in this situation. I was trying to figure out, am I on the right path? I had a lot of self-doubt, and this is normal. Okay, I want to give you a heads up. Self-doubt is part of the practice. Self-doubt is normal. It's part of the journey. It's part of the process. It comes up for almost anyone in different stages of their business. So just know this, because for myself, I was feeling very, very frustrated at this time. And I'm so grateful I had mentors to lean on during this time. Yet I also remember just thinking, okay, what do I do if I apply to jobs and I just postpone my goals in terms of my dreams, in terms of what I've been doing with my astrology practice? So I remember applying to one job that seemed very aligned to me, and it was a social media strategist position, which I had experience in. I have a master's in digital media. I was still helping other clients with their social media platforms. I was helping clients with their brand strategy. And this position was also very community focused, which I love because, I do run the Moon Sign Creative community. I love running community events. So for myself, I realized, okay, this looks like a great fit. I'm going to apply. And for myself, after I did that, I went through a few rounds of the interviews. And there was something within me that started to shift after these interviews. I really believe I had to go through that interview process to understand this perspective shift. So for myself, it was me understanding, oh, I haven't been working as hard as I should have to reach a certain goal in my business. Because when I thought about it, I was procrastinating on certain things. I was afraid to put myself out there on social media for my business. Yet this role would have made me more seen when it came to social media. It did require me to film a lot of content. So for myself, I was reflecting on this and I just didn't understand, okay, why am I applying for this if I'm not putting that dedication and that commitment towards my own business? And this was a thought process that really led me to understand, oh, I am putting more energy and effort when I see someone else as my boss and not myself. So what I needed to do was then see myself outside of myself as my boss. So if you're running a business, it's understanding you are your own boss, yes, but you have to take yourself outside of yourself and witness this. If you have a business, you might really resonate with this, but sometimes we give ourselves a lot of grace, which is amazing. We definitely should, but there's something where you could feel like you're putting more energy towards someone else when there's someone else overseeing your work. And that's when I started to realize I needed to shift my perspective. I needed to go through those series of interviews to feel as though, oh my goodness, I don't actually want to do this. Yes, the people were great. I made it to the final round of those interviews, yet something was off where I felt in my gut that it wasn't the right place for me. Yet I was so thankful for that interview process because it taught me, oh my goodness, I've been holding myself back without realizing it. I've been holding myself back thinking, okay, I need someone else to oversee my work. I need someone else to tell me what to do. I need someone else so that I can step it up in my business. And when I started to realize this, I then put all that energy into my social media platforms. I went back to TikTok because I was on TikTok in 2020 during the pandemic, but there was something about it where I still had so much fear around being seen. So I came back to it in 2021 and 2022, and that was when I put more energy towards creating astrology content and sharing my work online. So as soon as I did this, as soon as I noticed this perspective shift, and I started to realize where I was directing my energy, that is when I reached 10K on TikTok. That is when I started to become more focused. And it's not about the discipline, it was more so making that commitment to yourself of showing up even if you don't feel like it, which you would do if you're in a 9-to-5 job. So for myself, it was understanding I need to show up because I'm my boss and I want to impress my boss, which is myself. And I want to do this so that I know I can do this. And I did believe in myself, yes, but there was something that I needed to witness throughout that interview process with this other job to really understand this is not what I want to be doing. I want to run my own business. I want to do this because I want to help more people. I love astrology. I know I can talk about it for hours, and I know that my content can help someone right now. This was such an important milestone for myself because it really helped me understand, okay, I need to run my business in a different way. And I started to do that. And what also really helped me was shifting my energy, shifting my focus. This also is seen in my birth chart. So I always go back to my Chiron opposing my Saturn placement in my birth chart, which is very, very prevalent. It is in my career sector to my home sector. So there's something here where I'm still healing a lot when it comes to authority, when it comes to mastering responsibility, what that means for me, letting go of my fear of responsibility, which not a lot of people talk about, because I did have a lot of fear of taking on too much work, of disappointing people if I took on too much, because I would feel overwhelmed, right? But then if I felt overwhelmed, it was knowing I could change things, knowing that people trusted me to do the work, to help them through the process. This is why it's so, so, so important to look at your birth chart throughout this process and to really direct this energy to know what to focus on. So for myself, it was knowing that I should focus on my social media platforms because of my 11th house stellium, but also how I can really grow in terms of my community online, what that looks like to me and my business, how I can be more seen. And I will talk about the fear of being seen in an upcoming episode, so stay tuned for that because that will be very, very juicy. But I really hope this gave you a new perspective on becoming your own boss if it's something you want to do for yourself. I will say this, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard if you're in the beginning stages. If you've been in business for a few years, you know it's hard. You know it's hard, but it's rewarding. It's worth it. And I would say to only run your own business if you know that you can do it for 5, 10, 15 years. And maybe it's not about having certain expectations around your business, but knowing it's a journey, knowing you would do it no matter what, knowing that it doesn't matter when it happens for you. Letting go of that timeline can actually be so freeing for yourself because you will then start to embrace the messiness of the business, how that can actually be so beneficial for not only yourself, but your clients in the best possible way, I will say, because again, imperfect action is still so much better than trying to perfect things, because if you try to perfect things, you're not going to get anything done. For myself, it was really, really understanding that no matter how long it took, I am committed to my business. No matter how long it takes, I know this is going to work out for me because I trust it will work out for me, because I decided it's going to work out for me. So you need to decide if something's going to work out for you. You need to decide if you want to take the next level in your business. You need to decide if it's something you really want to do, if it's something you're really passionate about, then you need to decide that you're going to invest in your business because you know it's going to help you grow it. If you know you need one-on-one support in your business, may this be a creative business, spiritual business, or wellness business, and you want help in terms of your social media strategy, you want help in growing a stable foundation for your business so that you can receive more clients, so that you can help more people, so that you can receive more reoccurring income so that you know what money is coming in for you. And this is exactly what I help my clients with in the Boldest You mentorship. I am so, so excited that I am relaunching the Boldest You mentorship for 2026. I just have 5 spots for this mentorship. It is honestly one of my most popular offers. And what is so rewarding with this is you're working with me one-on-one, 2 sessions per month so that you can get to where you want to go in your business. And we dive really, really deep into what business would be most aligned for you based on your birth chart, how this looks like in terms of your brand strategy, social media strategy, the energetic work, and the mindset work that you need to cultivate to really grow your business. I have never seen a mentorship program like this ever before. It's so unique because there's so much that can come up for you in terms of your headspace, in terms of your limiting beliefs, in terms of what you need to do to really overcome that fear of being seen online, what that looks like for you, but also how you can take responsibility for your business so that you can grow it in a more sustainable way. If this is something you want help with, I'll leave a link to the application for the Boldest You mentorship down below. Feel free to DM me on Instagram if you have any questions about it. I'm super, super excited for this. There is a special bonus if you apply before the new moon in Scorpio on the 20th. I'll leave a link to that down below, and I can't wait to help you grow your business in 2026. Now let's dive into your tarot reading for this week. So the first card out is the Ace of Swords reverse. There's something here you're getting clarity on, especially when it comes to your past, especially when it comes to something you've been hiding from yourself. I really see this new moon in Scorpio this week as an opportunity to see what have you been uncovering? What are you learning about yourself? What still needs to be expressed? What is something that is holding you back mentally in terms of your limiting beliefs, in terms of your subconscious mind? This is the week to focus on that. This is such a good week to journal it out, to reflect, to really see, okay, what can I be doing for myself right now? What actually feels so good for me to focus on? The next card out is the Wheel of Fortune. So expect the unexpected this week. This makes so much sense with the transits of this week. The Wheel of Fortune is asking you to see the higher purpose and calling of unpredictable situations. I also see the Wheel of Fortune as an opportunity to learn more. There's certain lessons that you have to learn this week. And I also see this as a lot of the animals on the card are studying. So there's something that you're trying to dive deeper into. Maybe this is an area of study. Maybe this is a new community. Maybe this is just really enriching your mind in a new way. I love this as a card. I think it's a very unexpected card, but it really shows us that miracles can happen every day. And also that there's just so much opportunities that you didn't even expect. You can dream bigger. And I also see this as such a great card for Sagittarius season as well. Now the next card out is the Five of Cups. So there's something this week that you could feel disappointed on. There's something here where you could just feel a bit let down. Maybe a certain person disappointed you. Maybe this unexpected thing that came up for you during this Wheel of Fortune event was a bit disappointing. It makes sense with the transits of this week. However, I want you to redirect your energy and focus on what is currently working for you. How can you focus on that energy? How can you focus on all the good things that are happening for you? That's going to help so much because you still have a lot happening for you. You still have a lot that's good in your life. So even if you get disappointed this week, focus on what is working. Focus on what is going well for you. That's going to help so much. Your block this week is the Nine of Swords reverse. If you've been having trouble sleeping, I will say this can be a hard week. If you feel like there's something from the past that you need to let go of, you're in the process of doing so. There's still something that's lingering on that you're trying to let go of. But this is a week where you're trying to just say goodbye. You're trying to clear your head. Again, journaling it out, really letting it out of your body in some way is going to help you so much throughout this. May this be meditation, may this be journaling, may this be EFT tapping, may this be dancing it out. Doing healing practices for yourself is going to help so much. Now, I asked what would help us with this block, and we got the Four of Swords. This is the time to surrender. There's some things out of your control, okay? There's something out of your control and you might need to rest. You might not need to do anything. You might just need to take a step back and just observe. Know this. This is a card where it's not about forcing a situation. This is super important during a Mercury retrograde This is the time to just soak everything in. This is the time to reflect. So do not dwell on this situation. I really want to point that out. Do not dwell, but I really see this as an opportunity to surrender, to let it go, and also just to purge, right? You don't need to take action. We don't always have to be taking action for things to progress. Sometimes we just need to allow new things in. Sometimes we need those breaks, because if you do not make space for something, it's going to be really, really hard to receive. Now, your oracle cards are, I have support, and this is beautiful. Just remind yourself you have a good support system. Lean on that support system. If you do not, really seek out communities that will help uplift you, that will help you in terms of providing that space, that opportunity to be seen and heard and validated. That is a really good thing to focus on. The next card out is Look to Nature for Healing, which I love. So try and take a break this week. Try and get out, go for a walk. If you can, go for a little getaway. But how can you just be in nature and really soak in the beauty of the world? Sometimes we just want to do, but if you can just appreciate what is already around you, that is going to feel so fulfilling for you. The next card out is Reflect. So very much this Mercury retrograde theme of reflection, especially when it comes to the past. So this is the time to reflect, to revise, to edit, to know that it doesn't have to happen right away, but the more you uncover, the more you can change your perspective and your direction and where you're going. So I really hope this helped, friend. I really hope it helped. If you'd like a private session with me, I have 2 spots left for 2026 readings. I'll leave a link to that down below. If you want to manifest with us for the new moon in Scorpio, I'll leave a link to the Moon Sign Creative Community down below. If you'd like to grow your wellness or creative business in 2026, I'll leave a link to the Boldest You Mentorship down below. Please feel free to ask me any questions. Apply before the 20th for a special bonus, getting a free 2026 reading, completely free. And I'm super, super excited to help you if that feels aligned for you. Thank you so much for watching, friend. If you made it this far, please like, comment, and subscribe, because it really does help me out. And comment down below Zebra, just so that I know that you've made it this far in the video. Thank you so much for watching, friend. And just remember, the universe has your back. And with peace and love, take care.